Alrighty, what is going on, folks? Excuse me for my voice, I lost it. So I'm going to try to do this as best as I can right now. But what we're going to be doing today is we'll be installing the Fass on that OBS 7.3. This is the tow pig that I recently picked up. So we're basically going to switch it out to the Fass because the e-fuel kit that came on the truck's not supplying enough fuel for consistent pressure, and it's not drawing enough from the back tank because the diverter valve, which I'll point out once we get the bed off this truck, isn't actually, it's sucking in air. It's not allowing there to be enough draw from the rear tank. So right now we just got it draining into my fuel tank so we can also use the fuel in my heater. But what we're going to do is we're going to use the e-fuel kit that's on it to put fuel from the front tank into the back tank, kind of like a transfer pump, and we're going to hook it up on a switch on the dash in the factory location where it would be a dual tank switch. We're going to hook up a switch there instead. It's just a rocker switch with a light, so that way I know when it's on. That way when I see my fuel gauge hit full, I can hit off. The other problem is that we're going to figure out is why my rear fuel tank gauge isn't working. So we're going to have to do that. But the reason I'm going to be hooking the Fass up to the rear tank is because they make a 33 gallon or 38 gallon Bronco rear tank that you can put in these trucks. So that'd give me like 55 gallon of fuel in just those two tanks, not including a transfer tank. So if I did a 100 gallon transfer tank, there's 150 gallons worth of fuel, which would be really awesome. Closer to like 170, but that'd be awesome, especially when towing old Betsy here. So we're gonna start on that. We're gonna finish draining the fuel out of it, and then I'll set the camera up so you guys can see me taking the bed off the truck. And then, yeah, that's kind of where we'll start. And like I said, excuse my voice, I lost my voice, so I don't really, this is the best I can do right now, so just bear with the voice. And yeah, so don't forget to check out the website, the link below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this video, and continue to follow for more content. Alright, so we got as much fuel out of it as we possibly could right now. Unless I started putting fuel in the black truck. But then I'd have to turn around and take the fuel out of the black truck because I'm going to put a Fass on the black truck as well. By the way, Fass, if you want to sponsor the black truck, that'd be awesome. But, you know, I don't really have a lot of a following, so I understand. Anyways, so yeah, so now we're going to get the bed off this truck. We're going to go underneath it. We're going to undo all the bolts. We're going to stick a ratchet strap in each corner. And we're just going to lift it up enough that we put the, basically have like gear down is clear so I can work underneath it. That's going to be what we're going to try to do, just because like I said, right now, I don't have like a proper way to lift this. If I had a lift, that's what I'd be using. I don't have a lift, so we're going to do with what we got. I might actually end up taking a pause to build the rollers for this so I can put it on the rollers and get it out of the way so it's less of a hassle in the way. But we got like roughly 10 gallon out of the front tank. I think I got another like 5 or 6, but by the time I get the bed off of this truck, we should be able to put some more fuel in our heater here and start putting more fuel into this tank here and kind of go from there. So if we need to take a pause on working on this and come back over and work on this, I will, just because I'm not going to try to cut a hole in the bottom of that with a bunch of fuel in it. I want it to be empty and just kind of call it a day, so I don't have to worry about it. So, I mean, once I get one tank low enough, I can take fuel or use that transfer pump and hook it up. Do I want to transfer fuel from one tank to the other, and then kind of just circle it around until I get the kit put together. So that's probably something else that I'll have to do. But as of right now, I got to get this up on the tripod so we can get up underneath this girl and start on doing those bolts. Let's get to it. little bit of an update. Not going to be able to get the bolts out from underneath. I was just spinning them. So I'm going to have to cut the bolts out and then put it on my own, which is what I figured was going to happen anyways. This truck has 310,000 miles on it. It might be rust free, but it doesn't mean there's not rust on the bolts. So I'm going to have the wife come out here and help me get the bolts out for the fifth wheel plates, because those I can get out. I just have to have her on top of the impact and me on the underside of the breaker bar. And then we're going to take a grinder and cut all the bolts out, or the bolt heads off. And then that way we can lift the bed up, because like I said, unfortunately, they're screwed. So we'll have to put in our own, and then she's got to come out and help me tighten those down, because I have to get underneath, put a bolt in. You know, she's impacts it from the top and I hold it from the bottom, which actually might be easier in the long run anyways. So that's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go grab her, get her to come out here and help me, and then we'll get to that part. Alright, what is going on, guys? So we got our filler necks out on both sides. All the bolts are cut out in the bed. So now we're just going to get the bed lifted up in the air. We're going to use 4 ratchet straps to get it up, and then we're probably going to use another 4 to get it up a little higher. And then we'll use the 2 steps of right straps to bring it back down nice and easy as well. Probably going to have a buddy come over for that part, but we got the toolbox here in the center. It's probably going to go to the dump eventually, so I can put a transfer tank in here. I do need to clean the heck out of this in the springtime, that's for sure. It's really dirty. But yes, we got all that done. I'd put the camera on the charger for a little bit, but I'll get the tripod set up so you guys can watch me get it up in the air. And then we should be able to have full access to our fuel tanks from there. All right, so let's get to it. All right, what's going on, guys? Again, my voice is still pretty shot, so please bear with me on that. So this is how you take the truck bed off. If you have limited tools, I actually only had 3 straps available, so there's 2 in the back and 1 in the front. And I ended up using a jack with blocks to get it pretty high up, and then use the straps to create tension just to hold it, because ratchet strapping it up wasn't going to work. And then we took the wheels off, and after we jacked up the frame, and then we lowered the frame down as much as we possibly could. So now I have almost 2 feet to, I would say 14 inches to 2 feet, depending where you're at, of workspace to get underneath this thing and work on it. Now, I don't necessarily recommend you use 3 straps. I really would recommend using 4 and use the big straps, because the little straps aren't necessarily rated for a ton of weight. I'm really placing a lot of faith on myself right now for this to work. But so yeah, that's where we're at right now. We got the whole frame off, so now we have full access to where our tanks are and everything that I'm going to need to get access in when it comes to installing this Fass and getting a little extra creative with it, which I'll show you guys what I'm going to do. That way you guys can see if you guys want to do it, or even if you want me to do it, give my business a call and we'll do this in the garage. Hopefully, if I do start getting customers, I can rent the shop out and I can get a spot with lift and take on my own customers that way. That'd be the end all be all goal right there. But as of right now, this is kind of what we're working with. So, the frame's got a little bit of rust on it, but I mean, it's not like cracked or, big pits or anything like that. I mean, the underside of this truck is beautiful. When it comes to rust issues with these trucks, the frame rails on this are just absolutely solid, which is great. So I'm super excited about that. No rust on the cab anywhere. So I'm super excited about all that, actually. While I do have this all going on, I still might end up dropping the tanks after I get everything mocked up, so I can actually paint the inside of the frame rail for now. That way it's painted, and I'm not going to worry about dropping the tanks to do it again. And then maybe even the outside of it, depending how fancy I want to get with it. But we're just going to show you guys getting the Fass hooked up, how we're going to do it with the sump and everything, and kind of go on that route. I want to paint it, but I haven't gotten the underside of this truck washed, and there's a lot of sand and salt underneath this truck from driving it this winter. Next winter, we are not going to be driving this truck. Thank God, no driving this truck next winter whatsoever. That is a promise, guys. So that's kind of that end all be all goal. So yeah, let's get right into it. I'll pause the video here in a second, and we'll pull out the Fass parts and kind of get an idea where we want to put everything, and then we'll go from there. Alright, stay tuned. Don't forget, like, subscribe down below, and check out the website for merch. Any merch that's purchased goes directly into that truck over there and gets it ready for race season. And that's just kind of the return on the business, and also into developing more brake kits. That is a big one, guys. I'm really trying to develop a lot of brake kits. So if you guys want to support the channel, that's the best place to do it. Alright, let's dig into this Fass. What is going on, guys? So my voice is a little bit better today, but not a whole lot. Here's the Fass system laid out. We got our pump, filters, mounting brackets, all the hardware and everything necessary, sump, fuel lines. This is technically a low pressure system, so these are still rated for 300 psi. It says low pressure on there. Don't be worried about that. I actually called and asked, because right here, yeah, 300 psi, where it says low pressure. So don't be worried about that. That's going to be enough for your 7.3 Powerstroke, because there's only a 60 psi system, so it should be good to go. The lines aren't going to collapse on themselves or anything like that. Now, with that being said, I got extra filters because I'm going to use the filters on the already e-fuel kit that's on this truck to basically be my transfer pump. That way I have a filtration from my transfer tank to from my front tank to my back tank, because I'm going to put a 100-gallon transfer tank in here. So that way when everything comes out of the transfer tank, before it goes into my other tank, it's getting pre-filtered before it goes into here. That doesn't actually really help out with like air separation or anything. It's just a pump. But Water separation is going to be big, being that I'm going to have a 100-gallon tank and fuel filtration because it's going to be gravity fed in my other tank. And I don't want any of that nasty particulates coming through. So just, 2 filter sets are going to be the maximum filtration. Not necessarily necessary, just going to be super awesome. Also, I already have the electronic pump, so why not utilize it as my transfer pump? And it already has the filter block, so I might as well utilize it and kind of carry on from there. So right now though, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and drop the front tank. I'm gonna clean up everything behind it, get all the lines out because I don't need any of the lines going from the tanks to the engine, and I don't need any lines going from the engine to the tanks. We're getting rid of all of it. No fuel lines, we just need electrical because we're only gonna have one hose coming up into the engine bay, and then the rest of our hoses are gonna be at the tanks actually. So it's gonna be super clean. We're gonna make it that way. We're gonna go ahead and drop both tanks. That way we can clean up the frame and paint it. I have some 415, so we're gonna paint all the hard to get areas because I'm gonna end up having the bottom side of this truck lizard skin. Hopefully by my business partners this spring, just because I want to keep it as rust free as possible. I showed you guys earlier in the video how rust free this truck is. So I'm gonna have the whole underside of it lizard skin, but that way they don't have to drop tanks or anything crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and get all the hard areas to get, the top of the frame rails, underneath the fass and stuff like that. That way it's super super simple and easy to get done. So, but yeah, we'll get started on that, and then once I get the tanks dropped, we'll work on mounting up the fass, get the fuel lines taken out of there, and I'll show you guys where I'm going to mount that. I think you guys are going to like it to be a little different. I know there's like mixed feelings between tucking the filters and not tucking the filters, so it's just going to depend what you guys prefer. I kind of like my filters to hang, just that way, because they're easier to get to, or they're both easy to get to, but so it doesn't really matter. I just kind of like my filters to hang because I use a smaller filter, so it's not like it's the huge filter hanging from the bottom, this far from the road or anything like that. Because I like to throw a can over mine, or I'm gonna throw like a Coors Light can over mine or something just to be different. So yeah, that's kind of where we're going with that. So stay tuned. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe down below, and watch for the video and see how you guys can mount a Fass on your truck while still utilizing both tanks with a factory look-like switch and your factory fuel gauge. Alright, so now that we have the tank out of here, it's so roomy in here. All these fuel lines, this is a brake line, right? So there's a difference, right? Don't mess with the brake line. But the two bigger lines, these are fuel lines. We're taking those off, they're going to the Garbo. These go to the diverter valve, are also, which is right here. Now you guys can't really see that, but there's the diverter valve right here. We're going to keep that temporarily to keep our back fuel gauge working until we get 2 independent gauges, because I'm going to be running a digital cluster eventually. We'll take this out and run those two independents. But for now, this is going to stay here, but all the lines connecting into this, off of it. All the lines going to the front of the truck, come off of it. Everything that's connected to that's going to end up coming off of it, which we got to disconnect it from back here. There's 2 bolts on the back side of the frame. On this side right here, those are going to come out. So we got to get all that off. We got to not relocate, but temporarily remove this wiring harness so we can wire wheel all up in this area and paint it. Right now, if you're wanting us to install a Fass, I'll make a skip part, so that way you guys can just skip all the way to seeing when the Fass is getting installed. I'm just doing some preemptive work. You do not have to do this. You can do it without taking the bed off. You can do it without doing all kinds of stuff. I'm just doing it to make my life that much easier and go ahead and get some preventative maintenance done, like painting this frame up, getting it coated with 415 to keep it protected longer, just to prevent rust and stuff like that in the future. So that's where we're going at with that right now. So feel free to stay tuned. If not, like I said, I'll put a spot where I'm going to skip everything, or skip to where I start actually installing the Fass. Alright, so now for the rest of it, we're going to get to this part where you get these fuel lines out of here, and we're going to go ahead and start wire wheeling right here. We can get this area done so we can put the front tank back in, and then start working on the back tank area. Well, I had it wrong. I guess the 5/8 line that they send you is the suction line, then the 2 1/2-inch lines. One's the feed, one's the return, or feed return. This one goes to the truck, this or goes up to the engine bay, this one goes back to the tank. We went ahead and we were doing some stuff up here. I need to make a Napa run because I need this fitting specifically in 1/2-inch. This is for 3/8, this barb fitting. And then I need this to be a straight female, or straight male to connect up my injection lines until we put the CNC fab kit in there. But as of right now, I went and took a little lunch, so we still got some prep work to do since we found out we need those. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and get this bad girl mounted up. Because I'm also going to have to get my own line, because this kit's for the Excursion, because Fass doesn't actually make an OBS direct kit. With that being said, so this is for the suction off the sump, and then one of these is for the return, one that goes in the bay. No matter how I set it up, one of the lines can be too short, whether it be the return to the tank or to the engine bay. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Fass where I want it, where the suction line and the return line is long enough, and then I have to get my own line from Fass or Napa, whichever one, and I gotta get line from the Fass to the engine with that fitting, and then it should be all set to go, which honestly is okay because it gives me time to work on a bunch of other stuff, like getting the transfer pump from tank to tank all mounted up and hoses and everything like that. So that is what we're going to work on right now. We're going to finish taking off some lines. We're going to clean up the diverter valve. We're going to take everything off that. We're going to take everything off the, I think it still has a factory lift pump. Take everything off that, and then mount our fasten. I have an idea where I want my Fass, so I think that's where I'm just going to go with it. Yeah, so we'll get that all taken care of, mounted up, figured out for you guys, how you guys can see, and then we'll go from there. So let's get started on cleaning up the rest of these lines for the diverter valve. That way we can mount our Fass. All right, let's get to it. Do yourselves a favor, don't do this, please. Just makes everybody's life harder. Also, don't do this. I don't know, just don't. That's not where that's supposed to go. Run across in the frame rail. Like, don't do that. You're gonna have wear spots on your hoses and all kinds of nasty stuff. You don't want to have a wear spot on your hose. That's just silly. For mounting tripod, for mounting these, there's just 2 bolts on the back side of both these right here. We're going to undo those and take our pump. We're going to take that off. We're going to pull it over to the back of us and figure out how we want to mount it. And then that way we have a transfer pump with a filtration system. So let's get to that.